Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the American Discovery Tour podcast. Today we're going to talk about our entire week learning about people in Pennsylvania. It was an awesome experience. We have some crazy highlights, and we learned about people we wouldn't ordinarily meet. Spent some time in deep rural Pennsylvania, met a school teacher who was just unbelievable, actually a couple teachers, and we also spent a couple nights with naturists. And if you don't know what that is, that's people who prefer not to wear clothes.
Yep.
So that was an experience. Currently, we're filming in Vermont. We're catching up on the podcast because, believe it or not, 14 months, a week in each state is a lot. And we're getting our bearings. We're starting to figure it out. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're watching this podcast, definitely like, subscribe, and comment. If there's something you found funny or something you enjoyed or just a part that was amazing, comment about that. We got this beautiful dog coming to hang out. Hopefully joins the podcast over here. So it should be a good time.
Mic him up.
Yeah, and with that being said, we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about what it was like being in Pennsylvania, what we learned, and just share some stories with you guys about people and cool places. Donovan, how you doing, man? Excited?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Honestly, it's been a long day.
Yep. It's a nice warm one too.
Yeah, real warm day, but a beautiful day. Vermont's been beautiful, and can't wait to talk about that. But as we dive into Pennsylvania, I'm excited to reflect. I've been writing a little bit in my journal, getting prepared, just thinking about what was it when we spent our time there. And I'm really excited to reflect on the experience. So I think the best place for us to start is probably the ride down. What did it feel like to wake up? We woke up like 8 in the morning and shot out of Columbus after a awesome party.
Night with some friends.
Yeah. What was that like for you, that send-off party?
It was great. It was great to have people come out and see that they were supportive and for them to wish us well and be like, oh, hey, we're still here for you when you get back. So that was good. But yeah, it was nice rolling out. It was kind of not what I expected when we left. I expected it to be a more like I don't know, frightening thing to just set off and leave. Where when we started, because we've been on road trips before, and it kind of just felt like, oh, we're doing that again, going on another trip.
Yeah.
It hadn't set in that it was going to be this long of one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought that send-off was really cool. Seeing a lot of our friends and just all the people who sent us love. And I'm sure some people listening here, thank you for all the love that you've given us. This endeavor is huge, but with the love and support of the people we know, it really is, it seems possible. And that was the coolest thing. The coolest thing for me was one of the students that I mentor created a secret GoFundMe for our project. And he raised a pretty modest amount of money, but it was really beautiful. And surprised me with it. And it launched me into like a full-scale panic attack. So for people who don't know me, I have pretty high anxiety, and I don't take anything for it. I use meditation and kind of just try to embrace that experience and listen to it. So I was sitting there in full-blown panic attack while he was getting ready to surprise me, and everybody started circling around me. And it honestly felt like the whole world was just like spinning, but it was actually super positive. I was so excited. I cried when I watched the video that you guys made about me, and it felt really good to just see that the impact that we're having, the care that we have for other people, it matters to them. And yeah, that super excited me. I felt like we could do it after that. So that was really neat.
That's great. Yeah. So what about leaving then?
Oh my gosh. So we woke up way earlier than we needed to, started off on the road, super sleep deprived. But it felt good to get on the road. Pennsylvania is beautiful. So the drive was really enjoyable. And getting excited for our first couchsurfing experience.
What an experience.
Yeah, for people who don't know, one of the main ways that we're making it around the country is we're relying on people who subscribe to this website, Couchsurfing.com. This isn't a promo for Couchsurfing.com or anything, but it's our primary tool that we're using to find places to stay and people to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really amazing. People lay out like their whole lives in a profile, and they invite you to stay with them in their home, not as like a hotel or just as a place to stay, but really to connect with you and share their life with you and teach you about their life and learn about your life. People do that from like across different countries and stuff. And so we've been doing that, but we had our first experience the first night, and it was pretty scary at first, staying in super rural Pennsylvania, in a farmhouse that, I mean, barely had electric.
Barely had lights, but it was actually a really good experience. Meeting Bruce. Bruce was the host. He was a retired teacher, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He taught college courses, correct?
Yeah, he did some teaching in college, teaching college courses. I've got him right up here. If you guys follow our social media, you can read all about several of the people that we stay with through our story spotlights. And it's a great way to get like an overview or just meet people from around the country. But yeah, teacher.
Retired teacher who does Meals on Wheels now to just make sure people have food and do it as something to kind of keep him busy, but when he's not playing golf or going out fishing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. He was someone who I thought was really inspiring because he told me what I needed to hear the first day.
What did he say?
Very first day we were there. First day we were there, I had a panic attack sitting at his dinner table. And I was super nervous, super scared. This is a scary experience for me, and that's part of the reason I'm doing it. One of my life's missions is to face my greatest fears so that I can overcome them and see what's on the other side. And Bruce just, when I was in that space of just being really anxious, he just mentioned the importance of being present with life. Taking it, every experience as it is, not trying to control everything, and just being there. And he really seemed to embody that. With his, what does he walk, like 15 miles a day?
Has to be. The man could walk circles around us in the woods without trying.
Yeah.
He hiked the whole Appalachian Trail. Ended up getting stuck at one point in time because he didn't have enough sodium in his diet, which was really funny because I don't know. Think about like a half hour before he told us this part. I asked him, I was like, "Oh, do people take like salt tabs or anything like that to make sure they stay up on their sodium?" And he's like, "No, you won't catch people doing that." And then he told us about how he didn't have enough sodium in his diet and had to end up eating his toothpaste because he was cramping up so bad that he couldn't walk to the next camp.
Yeah, that was wild. He literally ate his toothpaste for electrolytes.
Mm-hmm.
That was ridiculous. But yeah, he hiked the whole Appalachian Trail. And he also has helped a lot of people. He mentioned that, hike that trail, which that seemed really important to him, to be able to help people along and help them experience life and be connected to it, which is pretty cool. I really liked Bruce. He just echoed the point of being present and really experiencing life. And I love that. It was a good first day. It was a good start. So after Bruce, right, we headed out. We were heading to stay with a naturist.
Yep.
And we were super nervous. We have this really cute dog who's right up here with us right now, being awesome. But we decided to stay with a naturist.
Brandon.
Brandon. So do you remember when I told you about this option for somewhere to stay?
Yeah. Yeah. I said, there's no way there's nobody else there. There's no way this is the first option. There's got to be somebody else.
When I first brought up the idea of staying with this person, what % chance did you have in your head that you would do it?
15.
15? Yeah, I was like, no. But we said like, hey, we said that our goal is to meet interesting people, all kinds of different people. So when the opportunity presents us to meet someone who lives their life differently than we do, there's kind of for this project, the answer usually needs to be yes if it's safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we thought it'd be safe. We decided to reach out, say like, yeah, don't know if we're gonna shed our clothes, but what was that like when we got there, man?
It was really interesting. A lot of eye contact, mostly eye contact.
So walk me back, right? We opened the door. Like he opened the door for us.
Right, and he was behind the door.
He was behind the door.
And we walked in, and he was wearing a shirt. He was wearing like an open, like a shirt, like the button-up shirt, and he just had the shirt open, and that was it.
That's right.
And we went and sat on his couch and watched the Night Shift, the new movie with with Lil Franco, Snoop, and Jamie Foxx, right?
Yeah, it was a great movie. Fascinating experience. I've never made so much eye contact in my life. If you ever want to practice eye contact for like dating, just go stay a night with a naturist. You will get plenty of practice. And honestly, though, it wasn't weird for me.
No, it wasn't weird. I mean, we didn't participate, but just once after like the first 15 minutes, it's like, oh, we're just talking, having a conversation, just like you normally would. Just that person just doesn't have clothes on.
Yeah, and we asked him why, like what got him into naturism, and he mentioned the whole point was he had really rough body esteem at the time, and it was hard for him to kind of just fully accept his body, and naturism was a way for him to own it and to release that.
I mean, at that point, he said he wasn't like a unfit guy. He was an athlete. I forget what all sports he said he played, but yeah, he was an athlete in like high school, and I think even like some in college. I can't remember. I think so, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so that was wild. My conclusion, my takeaway from that was it's just a thing people do.
Yeah, not as weird as I expected.
Yeah, I would stay with the naturist again. I don't feel the motivation to participate, but that is something I'm going to keep thinking about. I don't know. I've never done the experience, so I can't really say for sure what it would be like. But yeah, we learned something. On the way there, we stopped at an awesome coffee shop.
Oh, yeah. Little Tree Roasters?
Coffee Tree Roasters.
Coffee Tree Roasters.
Yeah.
That's where we met Greg, right?
Yeah. Greg, the local hero.
Yeah. He makes their cold brew. Great cold brew.
Yeah, great cold brew coffee. If you drink coffee, cold brew is just a way of making the coffee cold. You never actually heat it up, and so it's less acidic, and it tastes really good. It's amazing.
Great for your stomach if coffee is rough on your stomach. A whole lot better.
Whole lot better. And Greg was awesome. He taught us about Pittsburghese.
With yins.
Yins.
All yins out there.
All yins acting crazy. Yeah, yins for you all. Awesome slang. I like it a lot more than y'all.
Yeah, it's just different. I think,
yeah. Yeah, and he bought us Chipotle.
Oh yeah, thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, Greg was super cool. Bought us Chipotle because he liked what we were doing, and we spent probably an hour talking to Greg.
And it seemed like everybody at the coffee shop just loves Greg.
Yeah, he was a beautiful person. Hung out with him, and then that next day we did Pittsburgh.
Yep. What did we do in Pittsburgh? Went to Randyland.
We did go to Randyland.
Really cool place. This guy, and I think he originally did it with his partner, right?
Yeah.
Basically, he gets all these weird objects and then just paints them and puts them out for display for people to come and look at. Super bright, super colorful, and he doesn't charge anything. He asks if you want to donate. He asks that you either donate money for paint or that you donate paint so that he can continue painting.
Yeah, which he paints everything. He paints literally everything. Think of something in your life that you would not paint. He paints it.
Painted a suit of armor.
That was cool. You would paint that though.
You'd paint that. Trombones. I think he had some painted trombones.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy that would like paint a toothbrush, like each bristle head, and people would look at it and you'd be like, wow, because he's just that innovative. Randyland was sweet. His goal was to show that you could make beauty out of things that were not considered cool or beautiful or meaningless.
Had a really cool map that he had painted of like Pittsburgh, and it was it reminded me of like a Little Tykes map, or like a little little people, like the little wooden play things. It reminded me so much of that.
Yeah.
They're going to be opening, I think you said a restaurant.
Yeah, they're gonna open a restaurant. That was cool. We also earlier that day we went to coffee shop. Really cool coffee shop. Remember that?
Not Black Rifle. That's
Black
another,
Forge is a different
Black
day.
Forge is a different
We went
day.
up to it was a coffee shop on the hill.
Oh yes. Coffee.
I don't know the name. Doesn't matter. But that's when we learned about the spotted lanternfly.
Yeah, spotted lantern bug.
It's fly.
Is it fly? Oh, never mind. My bad.
Yeah. Which is this crazy invasive bug that's attacking Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. It's eating all the trees, and everywhere you go, they tell you must kill it.
And it's like an initiative, and like you can like go online and register every time that you kill one.
Yeah, everybody has a kill count for these bugs, which is crazy because like we're in these areas where people are like super kind, conservative for animals, like really nice, and then these bugs, they're like destroy all spotted lantern flies. It's crazy, but I guess they like came over from China, and I think it was like they're just native there. It's fine, and then what happened is they somehow got here. They like our maple syrup trees, and they're like eating them. But it was cool. We tried to kill some with Marianne. And I think that's something to note. Probably every day, not every day, but most days, we're running into people in need. Mm-hmm. People on the streets in need. We ran into this beautiful woman, Marianne, who was just really struggling with her husband. Her husband had like a brain tumor.
And seizures.
Yeah, epilepsy. So he would have seizures. And that was, we probably talked with her for like half hour, 45 minutes, learned her story. And you know what was funny is she was all about like recognizing there's a way out. Like she can find a way out, and to keeping faith that she could get a home for her and her husband. And she really believed in that. Mm-hmm. She was super kind. And I was glad. And she expressed the importance of seeing people, not missing them when you're walking by. I thought it was good. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was really unfortunate situation. I think they had their bags stolen like a day or so ago, and they had a place that they were getting ready to be able to stay in a couple days, but they were just living out on the streets, just trying to make it by until they had. That was close. It was very close.
For those listening, a bird just flew over and right beside me launched a bomb. Almost got me. Dodged it though.
Literally, like less than 3 inches away.
Less than 3 inches, but we're good. That would have been great. So yeah. Sorry, continue what you're saying.
I think I was just saying that she was just really sweet. And had a positive outlook. Looked like she saw, like you said, there was going to be a way out, and just was trying to make it through the last couple days until they had a place to stay.
Yeah. And honestly, how many people are like in that situation right now? Like they're just living day to day. They're trying to find a way to meet those needs. It's tough. It was nice to be able to be there for her. Even realizing we got a lot going on, taking the time to spend with her was really nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, anything else in Pittsburgh you thought was cool?
We hit the Black Forge coffee, which was very interesting. Other than that, we went to saw an observatory. That was cool. Observatory on top of the hill.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then at that coffee shop, we met an local actress. Mm-hmm. That was awesome. Yep. She was super sweet.
Very interesting coffee shop. They did like mixed coffee. They basically like coffee drinks, but not like standard ones. And they were all, it's like it was like a metal shop, like a metal music shop. So like all of their music, all their coffee prices were like $6.66.
Yeah.
And
it was like a dark and demonic themed coffee shop with the most vibrant, boisterous, incredibly kind barista, mm-hmm. Marissa.
Oh yeah.
That was awesome. She was really cool. We talked to her for a while, talked to a couple
Yeah,
veteran
a veteran that was there.
who was there, told us about his life, and that was cool.
Other than that, I can't think of anything else that happened in Pittsburgh. You got anything else?
No, I mean, I do think that what was interesting about Pittsburgh was, honestly, how kind everybody was. We're from Ohio, so we've been brought up to believe that, you know, it's the Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we've been brought up with the stereotype that, you know, Steelers country, it's not so good. It's just funny because that crossed my mind like 5 times. Realizing I was like, everybody's so kind here. And I did not expect that.
There was about as much black and gold in Pittsburgh as you would see scarlet and gray on OSU campus, and it was just crazy. They like companies that were branded black and gold just to match the Steelers. There was a car dealership, I remember one that was branded to match the Steelers.
Yeah, it was wild. But that's the thing, right? Like, people create a community through sports. So that's something that we'll see everywhere, and it was cool. Like, they were excited. They were genuinely pumped up about it. So yeah, we left there and went to, is Brockway.
Brockway? Okay.
Pennsylvania, another small town. Pennsylvania was packed. We went town to town to town very quickly.
What, 6 locations, and we stayed there an extra day because we left a day early. So 6 locations in 8 days.
Yeah.
Whew.
6 locations in 8 days. It was pretty wild. Stayed with a guy named Eric, high school German teacher. This dude is a gem.
He's awesome.
He is such a beautiful person. Honestly, there's so many sweet people that exist out there that the world just doesn't even know. Like, they have no idea. Like, hometown heroes. It was amazing meeting that guy. Took us to the Kinzua Bridge.
Yep. This old railway bridge that I guess they were going to go do some work on it, and they took a bunch of pins out of it so that they could start work on it the next day. And that night, like a crazy tornado came through, tore down half the bridge, and they turned it into like this like little observatory, like walkway platform that you can go out and see. And they left all the wreckage like just on the hillside, so you can still see everything that was there. And they built like a little visitor center around it, and it was really cool. As Eric told us that he had actually took a train across that bridge when he was a little kid. And that was really, really just a beautiful area, in like these just hills, and you can just see trees and trees and trees for as far as you can see.
Yeah, that was amazing. And Eric, he drove us up there. He talked about his life. He talked about how he created a German exchange program in his small town of Pennsylvania so that students could go over to Germany and German students could come over to America and experience, you know, life in a different country. It was a program he did when he was a kid, and he wanted to create that for the school that he was a part of. So he's moved like 200 students back and forth, Germany and US, and he's so proud of it.
It was the same. It was funny because not funny. It was really cool. He connected with the same school that he visited, or the same, at least the same school, or at least the same town that he visited when he was in high school.
Yeah, and that was really beautiful. And watching you guys were juggling and spinning plates.
And first time I've ever done that.
You guys were a hoot, man. I was sitting in the chair and you guys were just like spinning plates and juggling and doing all this crazy stuff. I was like working on something, but he was just cool.
Yeah.
He was a cool, honest, kind guy who wanted to make the world a better place. What's his value? I'm gonna look and see what it was. Openness.
Oh yeah, openness to like experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this actually because this is really beautiful. He told us that if we're willing to take a look at each other's lives, we will see that we have more in common than we think. We all have things and people that matter to us, and we all have goals. This applies to people in other countries as well as those in our own neighborhoods. I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think so.
You think that's true?
Oh, absolutely. We're all people. We're all gonna want similar things. I think that's gonna be something consistently that we're going to find over the course of asking people their values and things like that, that we're going to find out that a lot of people value the same things, and there's other reasons why people might find that people might think that we're different.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we definitely have differences. That's something that I want to keep exploring through this whole podcast and the whole experiences. What really are our big similarities and our big differences as people? I have not met a single person who's like not said it's important to be kind. That's something that's really hitting me, is everybody talks about the importance of kindness, suggesting to me that at some point maybe someone wasn't kind. I think we all know those examples. And so that was good. Anything else you can think about? We're hanging out with Eric, you want to bring up?
Eric, his sweet dog. What's his dog? Did you remember? Charlie? Was it Charlie? No, I don't know. Other than that, he showed us it took us around town, took us to that community center where it's where kids can come, where high school students can come in and learn everything from like metalworking to pottery to medical assisting, so they can get ready for college. They can they even this community center, there's multiple different branches in different cities, but some of them even end up getting trained so that they can actually go to work for like one company said was like Bayer, like the aspirin company, like the pharmaceutical company, and helps them, like this community center helps them get jobs, which I think is absolutely great, because man, like for somebody in high school, like if they don't know what they want to do, like just to have a free outlet that they can go to and learn a skill, if they don't know they're going to go to college, or they don't think they can afford college, that they can get some form of education. And they open it up to adults and anybody else in the community, but it's definitely free for the high school students.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. It was cool to see all the different opportunities that people had in that area, and to see all the people who were providing the opportunities. Meeting the metal shop worker, meeting, Eric, who's a teacher there, and just seeing all the people who are really passionate about providing kids and teens opportunities in that area was cool. All right, so heading out of Brockway, shot across the north over to Milton, Pennsylvania, to hang out with our buddy James, who's a friend of someone we know in New York. And man, James is a beautiful person, going through a lot right now. James spent a lot of time as a performing artist in LA, and recently came back to Pennsylvania, mostly because he's dealing with HIV.
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure out how to navigate life with a new diagnosis with HIV. And he's trying to heal it holistically, so meaning without medication. But it wasn't working. So when we got there, it was time for him to start using medication. And that was powerful to just hear about that. Got a spider I'm getting out of there. So yeah. What was that like? Well, let's talk about, how was your day on the way to Milton, Pennsylvania?
That day was, I just don't know if I had slept well, but man, I was tired and irritable going through that day. We ended up doing some work at a little coffee shop, nice coffee shop, and thankfully we were able to go to a yoga class with James. Salamander Yoga, was that what it was? Salamander Studios. And man, I tell you, I needed that. It was like a 45-minute class or something like that, and I was just so frustrated and irritable going through that day. And after going through that experience, it just calmed me down. I swear we should probably hit a yoga class like once a week.
Yeah, what is it like for you going through a rough day when we're on the road and we don't have a home to go back to? We don't have like, you can't jump back into your room and go to your normal environment. What's it like trying to navigate a tough day like that?
I would say one thing that I try to do, and this is something that I really tried to do if I'm like at work and having a rough day, kind of put my head down, not like physically, but just like put my head down, just plug into some work, get something accomplished, because if I can do that, I feel like I've at least made progress, and I have something to show for the day, and it makes me it prevents me from throwing the day away as a wash.
I hear that. It's tough. It's really tough, especially because you're trying to balance. We got to balance supporting each other, but also figuring out how to meet our own individual needs. Take our own time, kind of relax. I took some walks that day in the middle of the day, did a little meditation, which was good. That was a day, man. But man, did it get better when we went to yoga class. I agree. We were just going so much. We were doing too much 1 week. Yeah. But James, hanging out with him, man, wow. That guy is just, I don't know how you could be going through all the things that he's going through and still keep such a positive attitude, still keep such a hopeful attitude, just still keep pushing like that. Like, it was just such a testament of resilience. What did you think of that? I was inspired by James.
Yeah, he had switched his entire diet to a plant-based diet, full vegan diet, just to try to help holistically cure his HIV. And I couldn't imagine. I still want to take some time and do a at least vegetarian, if not vegan diet for a period of time, just to see what it's like. But I couldn't imagine just hearing that diagnosis and then be like, okay, I'm going to do everything I can, and just flipping the switch. I think that was great. He actually works at one of the only vegan restaurants within, I think he said like an hour. There wasn't anything within an hour before that place opened up, and then he just he didn't open it up, but the company opened that up not too long ago. During the pandemic, I'm pretty sure is what he said.
Yeah, that was wild. What was your experience staying with someone who has HIV? That was my first time meeting someone who has HIV.
Well, I worked in a hospital, so I was pretty familiar with people who had infectious diseases, anything from HIV to like Hep C and things like that. And one of the biggest things to realize is like, yeah, there's precautions you have to take. Don't like put their blood and your blood together, but they're just people. You can give somebody who has HIV a hug. It's okay. You're not going to catch AIDS from a hug.
That, I think, was huge. When I first got there, I knew all of that, but all of a sudden my brain was like, everything that I've ever heard about HIV in the past just like started popping up. I literally Googled, can you catch HIV on a toilet seat? Like, I literally Googled it because I didn't know. Mm-hmm. I really didn't. I've never had the need to look that up. And that really was helpful for me. Because ultimately I was like, I didn't want to be afraid. But part of my goal on this journey is to be completely honest about how I feel in every situation. I'm not going to try to walk in and pretend like I knew everything was fine and I understood it. What did I really experience? And the first thoughts, they started popping through my head. Are there accidental ways that I could get infected? And I, did a quick Google. I was like thinking through everything that I knew. And ultimately, I was able to face that fear. But it was real. And it taught me an important lesson about how sometimes the challenges we go through create challenges for people around us. And it's not our fault. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the challenges are real. And so it takes a community approach. It takes serious education. If I didn't have enough education about not needing to worry, I probably would have been very worried. And I might have been like afraid to hug someone who I love and care for. Someone who means a lot to me after a small interaction. I might have been afraid of that without that education. And so that's something that I want to do. I want to get the experience of having to put that education into practice. That was a great example for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That brownie was good though.
Yes, that non-THC brownie.
Yes.
It was non-THC.
No, it's a vegan brownie.
One of the best brownies I've ever had. You can make some amazing brownies vegan.
Yes.
Dispel that myth
Yeah,
if you think you can't.
absolutely.
Oh, it was so good.
Best. I've had some vegan like sweets, like people make it and bring it to a party or something like that. Hands down, the best tasting vegan food I've ever eaten.
Yeah, that was awesome. But yeah, staying with James was cool. I liked his core value too, so I'm gonna share it. So James said, be receptive to the passions that life offers you. Develop those passions and contribute to the world. And so James's idea was that you need to be open to what you might fall in love with in the world, what you might become really interested in. And then once you receive that and you actually open up to that, use that as an opportunity to go contribute it to the world. For him, veganism was one of those things that became a passion. And now he works really hard to bring amazing vegan food to an area that doesn't have it, to educate people on how to do it in a healthy way, how to get enough nutrients while you're doing veganism. We're not proponents of veganism or not proponents of veganism, but we learned a lot about it while we were with James. And that was really cool to get that education. Awesome. So anything else you want to highlight with the experience with James or the time we spent there?
Not really. The restaurant, really good. PB&J, peanut butter, what was it? Plant-based and juice bar. We actually ended up doing a blog post about that. You can check that out on our website, AmericanDiscoveryTour.com, in the blog section. So that was really good. You can see some of the food we had. Some of the local, was a local woman that you interacted with and talked to for a little bit. And then you can see a little bit about James.
Yeah, I recommend checking that blog post out because it was super fun. And it's nice to just venture through cool places. Mm-hmm. They were a cool establishment. They were trying really hard to create a space that was, for them, is really important to create a space that was safe for LGBTQ plus people because in that area, there's not a lot of spaces, or at least not a lot of spaces that are explicit that that's okay in that area. And so they are really all about creating a space where people can come, they can focus on food, and know that they're welcome there, which I thought was pretty cool. I think that took a level of courage, especially for the area that we were in. And, you know, whatever you think aside, politics aside, caring about creating a safe place for people, that I really value that because I think that's the only way you get to really know people. You don't get to know somebody when they are on the defense.
Nope.
You just see a shell. You see what they got to use to protect themselves. And I want to know people, so I appreciate that. That was cool. So we did that. Then we went camping.
Yep.
We went camping in a beautiful campground, actually.
Rolling in at night was a little like, is this the right place?
Yeah.
Rain. We couldn't even find the driveway to get up to the site. And the ranger comes out and it's like I'm pretty sure he didn't think we actually had a campsite.
Yeah.
I registered the site online. It was like it was Deer Creek Campground, and it was like the site was like DC2 for Deer Creek 2, and I'm like, it's like D2 or D something 2, and he's like, we don't have any letters in our campsite. And I'm like,
it was 2, man. It was like
2.
It was 1, and then it was 2. Yeah, we don't know how to camp apparently, but we got all set up. It was great, good sleep, and then we went to Harrisburg.
Yeah, checked out the Capitol.
Yeah,
took a Capitol tour. Then that was really cool. We got to see where the House sits, where the Senate sits. Beautiful building. What was it called after?
I don't know. Some French thing.
Yeah, the stairway at least. The
Yeah.
staircase was modeled after something out of like a museum in France.
Yeah, but it was cool. and the people were cool. Made some friends. There was a couple that was there with us.
Oh, yeah.
Spent like the whole tour talking with them. They were really neat. And then our tour guide, you remember her name?
You're going to quiz me on names? I'm not going to.
Yeah. It was Diane.
Diane.
This woman was so sweet, giving us the best tour, so excited, so passionate about what she was doing. And do you remember what she said? She said there was like 100-year like anniversary event or parade, and her picture was in it, and her daughter or someone, I think it was her daughter's picture was in it. And she was talking about, maybe her granddaughter, how that would be like cemented in something forever. It'd be a legacy. And that's something that I've noticed from people too, is they're trying to leave some kind of legacy or some kind of mark on the world. That was pretty beautiful. She was just so excited about that, as being a part of something bigger than herself. And I just love that spirit. She was pretty awesome.
So from there, we had that. We went to the market.
It's Broad Street Market,
You're
pretty sure.
so much better with names than I am.
That's my gift. I remember things. But yeah, Broad Street Market had the best, Nigerian food. Whew. That lady, oh my gosh, got some Nigerian food, and I haven't had Nigerian food before. That lady I told her, I said, hey, I haven't had Nigerian food before. And she just started piling extra food in my like little container. I got like chicken and rice. And then she's like, you haven't had this food before? And she was like, here's this and this. Here's some plantains. Here's these little doughy biscuit things. But the best part is how much she loved the food. She loved her culture. She loved like being able to share that with somebody. And so she was so genuinely excited that I was excited to try her food. And so she just kept throwing it all on there for free, like just piling it in. And that really excited me. What'd you end up eating?
It was like the next place down. It was I had roast. It was like a roast chicken. It was soul food. I know that it was soul.
Was
food.
Jamaican?
That might have been it. It was chicken, rice, and a fried plantain, and that was basically it. I didn't get the treatment you got. It was still really, really good. I actually went back up and told her afterwards, like, thank you. I had to thank her because it was so good.
Wow. That's awesome. And that's something that's cool, is getting to know people through their food too. I realize that's really, everywhere we go, that's what people say. Here's the beautiful scenery. Here's the beautiful food. They're so proud of it. Jeez.
It's on your neck.
Is it still?
Yeah.
Where?
Right there.
Ah! I'm still here. If you're on the podcast, I'm running from a bee that got...
It was a beetle.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was a beetle.
That's less concerning.
Yeah, it was just like chilling out on your neck for a second there.
I'm still here. That, you say it's less concerning, but after getting a bug bite from something I don't know and having to take antibiotics and use steroid creams, I don't want bit by anything ever again.
Didn't you say it was less concerning?
Than a bee. That thing was wild. So yeah, I'm awake. But yeah, that was wild. Harrisburg was cool. We kind of went through pretty quick though. Kind of flew in, flew out. And then the next day was Philly. That was the city I was most excited for in Pennsylvania. I've just always had a positive idea of Philly. And so we went there. Best coffee shop that I've been to probably in the entire US. It was beautiful. Elixir coffee. So good. One of the best pour-overs I've ever had. Atmosphere I absolutely loved. Got a lot of work done during the day there, just putting things together. Super fun. Really liked it. And you had an interesting experience in Philly.
Yep.
What happened to you?
I started going out to do a vlog for that day. Ended up rucking. I say ruck because I'm pretty sure my backpack weighs like 35 pounds. I should really weigh it by now. But I went around the city, getting some video, getting some pictures. Met a cool guy named Sebastian. Learned his story. He's a local hip hop, like pop artist in Philadelphia. I guess he's actually having an album come out pretty soon. So excited for that. He told me he's gonna let me know when that comes out. But I was going around the city And at some point I look down, I usually have, if I don't have a headphone in my ear, it's usually like clipped onto my shirt. And I look down and my headphone was gone. So I start running around the city, running around with my phone, trying to connect to it through Bluetooth, and I can't find it. I pull out my camera, start looking through all my footage, all the pictures I've taken, trying to go back to these exact same locations. Ended up running back into the Masonic Temple, and they're like, no, it's still, you still have to pay for the tour. And I was like, I'm just looking for a headphone. And I stopped the sanitation worker, and I was like, do you recognize this street corner? Because I couldn't find it. And he's like, yeah, it's like 2 blocks that way. So I ran over there, still gone, and eventually made it back to about where I realized that it was missing, and called you. Said, because I think it was around 2 o'clock. We were supposed to meet back up for lunch, and I said, I lost my headphone. It's gone. It's over. I'm just gonna come back to you. I'll live with it. And thank you. You had said that you were willing to give me one of your like sets of headphones that you had lost at one point in time and we found. But I get off the phone and I'm like, I'm gonna try it one more time. So I connect. I hit the connect button on my phone, and it connects. And so I turned the volume up, trying to find it. Couldn't hear it because of all the street traffic. So I'm running around this little small area. Luckily, my phone doesn't like hold signal for more than 10 to 15 feet. And I ended up finding it. And it was like 10 feet away from me when I realized that I lost it. Also 10 feet away from me when I gave up looking for it. And if I should have just took a little bit more time in that area, I'd have probably found it right away. But thankfully found it, ended up, I think like 11 and a half miles that day. Just absolutely ridiculous. My feet hurt for like the next 4 days.
Yeah, wow, that's a lot, but it was great. Glad you found it, definitely. And then it's hard. When you lose something significant in a city, we're carrying around a ton of equipment, which is basically all we own and our entire lives. And so if we lose it, it's a big deal. And so it was great that you found that. That was great. And then we had the best Philly cheesesteaks ever. After that, so good. You did magic for like that was something we haven't talked about. You've been doing magic for like everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's loving it. It's so fun because it creates an amazing connection. If you guys don't know, Donovan's a magician. Check out his Instagram, D27Magic. So good, so fun. And we're doing magic across the tour, so if you're paying attention to our social medias, you'll see it.
Pops up on the story every once in a while.
Pops up on the story. But it was really good. And then we kind of meandered around the city. Shout out to the Rocky Steps.
Yeah. Oh, we ended up, we went to the Rocky Steps first.
Yeah. Went to the Rocky Steps. When we went to the Rocky Steps, we saw a live WWE style, it was like a local promotion, wrestling event. It was free. That was awesome.
Butterfly Man.
Butterfly Man. This guy was doing this match. He was actually pretty intense. He was the Butterfly Man. He ended up winning. And after, he comes up to the crowd and he starts like doing this dance where he's like a butterfly flying.
Something like that.
It was so goofy, but like there were a bunch of people in the crowd who were just like doing it back to him, and they were just doing the Butterfly Man. It was great. Honestly, it was really entertaining. It was super fun. And then we hit the Rocky Steps. That was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Did the classic.
Yeah.
Run up and
ran up the Rocky Steps. You vlogged it on your vlog. It was awesome. And then I had half a cheesesteak in my backpack, so I sat at the top of the Rocky Steps eating this Philly cheesesteak. And I just thought, how crazy is this? You know? That was really cool. Philly was good. We met a guy named Michael when we were there who was working for a breast cancer donation service. And he told us a story about like his grandma died from breast cancer and he was trying to find meaningful work. And so he devoted himself to doing some of that, which was really cool. And Philly was good. We had a nice drink. Sat down, talked about, honestly, it's the stress of the tour. Talked a lot about that, how we would manage it. And we're just trying to figure it out day by day. How do we let our lives, kind of our home be the road? It's not easy, but if you just keep going and you keep focusing on learning about people and immersing yourself in the experience, you make it through each day, and you learn something. And that's the whole point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Philly was cool. I enjoyed it. Any other things that you think about there? I mean, that was the last day in Pennsylvania, right? Was Philly?
Yeah, it was the last day. That night we left Pennsylvania. Did we camp again that night?
Yeah.
We camped again that night. And then, yeah, that's it.
Went to New York. Okay, cool. Rapid fire questions. Let's ask you this. Favorite thing you ate in Pennsylvania?
Probably the cheesesteak. It was
Cheesesteak?
Yeah. What about you?
Cheesesteak.
Cheesesteak.
It was so
It was
good.
really good.
I
Oh,
can't beat it.
no, not cheesesteak for me. Atria's, the Reuben at Atria's, best Reuben I think I've had. Up to this point, Jimmy's Ladder 11 in Dayton, Ohio had it. And I'm pretty sure Atria's wins.
Yeah, that was cool. We did a whole blog on Atria's in Pleasant Hills, Pittsburgh, which is just a restaurant. It's a locally owned restaurant. And we did a whole blog for them. Donovan performed magic around the bar. We tried a bunch of their food. We spotlighted them on our American Discovery Tour blog, mostly because it's just an amazing place for people in the local community to come together. And so we met so many cool people there. We featured one of the guys there, Nick.
Yep.
Guy who built a real estate business from literally negative $192 in his bank account to doing quite well. And he built it through getting to know people at the bar.
At the bar there.
Yeah. Celebrated someone's birthday, Carlene.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, it's your 35th birthday?
35 and holding.
35 and holding for quite some time. But she was beautiful. And getting to meet her was really cool. Learn about that experience was cool. Yeah, Atria's Reuben was the best Reuben I've ever tasted.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Okay, your question. What do you got?
Favorite scene?
Favorite scene? Kinzua Bridge. That bridge is incredible. If you're ever in Pennsylvania, you got to go to this bridge. I mean, it's free, it's easy to get to, and honestly, it's just an incredible sight. It's like Randyland.
Mm-hmm.
It's someone making something beautiful out of a tragedy or something that is not obviously beautiful. And so that bridge was amazing. How about you?
Okay, so I would first say Kinzua Bridge as well, but since I'm gonna try to just say an additional thing, I would say the first night that we were camping, I was super tired, set up everything, set up the tent, got the air mattress going, and I just needed to go decompress for a little bit. So I went and laid on the playground slide and just looked up at the stars, and it was so dark, like almost no light pollution in the area, and just started learning star constellations. I learned a couple different ones that night. I learned where Jupiter would be. It's like in the eastern sky at this time of the year. We're in the northern hemisphere. And then I learned Cassiopeia and Ursa Major, which is the Big Dipper. But Ursa Major is like a continued constellation. I caught a shooting star that night. We were in August. I guess we were going through. At some point in August, it was up to 3 different meteor showers that we were flying through. So I ended up seeing a shooting star that night and the following night. I actually saw one last night as well.
Wow. That's amazing. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's really cool. Favorite person you met?
That's my question I was going to ask. I will say favorite person, probably Eric. Just a wonderful guy, and trying to do some good and teach some kids that there's more to this world than the 20 miles that they're used to seeing on any random day.
Yeah, that's beautiful. The first person who pops into my mind is James.
Yeah.
James is such a sweet person and so honest and kind and real, and he just was all out for us. He's going through so much, and he was going all out to try to make us feel at home, sleeping on his floor in our air mattress, and providing us with delicious brownie, and like just trying to show us an amazing experience in life. And that's something that really is beautiful. Even amidst so much going on, he cared about us. And that really inspired me. I love that. Wow. Any lessons you've learned from Pennsylvania about the world?
I would say that there's a lot of good people out there. And as scary as the world can seem sometimes, there's enough people that are willing to try to do some good. And I think that'll make it. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, that's good.
How about you?
I think for me, what I learned is that from Pennsylvania specifically, I learned that for myself, there's a big difference between knowledge of people from different walks of life and experiencing people of different walks of life. I've never spent time with someone who like really lives their life in nature like Bruce. I've never spent time with somebody who is a naturist, who embraces living naked. Like I've never experienced spending that much time or staying with someone with HIV. There was a lot of new for me. And for all of those people, I would initially say like, oh, they're probably kind and cool people with good reasons for what they do and not all that much different from me, kind of like what Eric said. But to actually go into the experience, I noticed that, especially since we were staying with them in their home and on their turf and we didn't know a lot about them beforehand, I had prejudice pop up. I had fear pop up. I had a lot of what if pop up. And that was important for me. I learned that for me, it's important to do more than just know about prejudices that you might have yourself. If you really want to get to know people who are different from you, you need to try to experience it in some way. And I'm excited to continue to do that throughout the store. I think that's going to be one of the most valuable life lessons that I'm going to get.
Okay. So you might have to paraphrase because you might not remember, but quote of the trip. It could be somebody's core value. It could be just something that somebody said to us.
I'll definitely have to paraphrase because there's no way I'm going to get somebody's quote right just thinking about it. I would say the one that's popping out to me right now is James, his point about letting the world, receiving a passion from the world, and then using it to contribute to the lives of others. That was powerful to me because I think for a long time I've tried to force myself to develop a certain type of passion because I believe you can develop a passion for anything, personally. But being open to other passions that you might not have expected, I think that's really important. So it stuck out with me. I want to keep pondering that. How about you?
Okay. So first I'm going to ask you a real quick question. The coffee shop at the top of the hill in Pittsburgh that we couldn't remember the name of. Do you remember the coffee shop guy, the owner of the shop? Do you remember his name?
Kevin?
Might have been. It was from him. It was from the owner of that shop.
Yeah.
And he had said something along the lines of, humans are here for a reason. If we weren't going to get this thing right, we wouldn't still be here. So we're probably going to figure it out. And things might look a little rough, but we're going to get better.
Yeah. That was a really interesting way to think about it. It was clear that he embodied that, which is cool. I like it. The thing I'd like to end every podcast with is a question of this. The question I'm trying to answer is, who am I? That's the question I'm trying to answer on this trip for myself, and to discover how you answer that question. So I'm going to ask this every single podcast, see what we say. So I'm going to ask you the question, who is Donovan? What comes to mind right now?
I think I said this last time, but I'd still say Donovan is a creative. Donovan is caring for others, and Donovan is adventurous.
Okay.
Who's Mark?
Based on Pennsylvania, Mark is scared. Mark is really afraid. And as someone who's really afraid, Mark is also very courageous. Mark is someone who looks for the things he's afraid of and does his best to overcome those fears in a way that will promote good and will do something that goes beyond himself. That's what I took from Pennsylvania. And I'm really happy that I did, because I think that's a feature of myself that's really important for me. I think in acknowledging that I'm afraid a lot of the time from little things, like a bug bite, helps me realize that there are so many people who have fears every single day as part of their life. And I do believe it's courageous when they navigate life amidst those fears anyway. I think we're walking in a world full of unbelievably courageous people. And I'm really happy for that. So that's where I'm at the end of that. Cool. Anything else you got from Pennsylvania?
Beautiful state.
Beautiful state. It was amazing. Guys, thank you. If you've listened to this whole episode, thanks for being with us. Tell us what we can do better. Tell us what you want to hear. We're trying to figure out the best way to reflect on our experience and share that with you guys. And so if there's certain things you like about the podcast, things we talked about, let us know. And if there's things like you're like, I didn't really connect with that, let us know too. We've got so much we could talk about every single week, and we're figuring this out. It's a journey for us, and we appreciate that feedback. Please like, comment on this, subscribe, engage as many ways as you possibly can, because we believe that it's important to become curious about people. Be curious about the things that you haven't experienced yet, just to learn. Not necessarily to change, you can change if you want, but to learn. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here with us.
Yep.
We'll see you next time on episode 3. Next state, New York.
New York.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.